Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I can't see me though. But.
I was recording stuff. Okay, so I'm not sure.
Jake, on the very bottom,
Yes.
there should be like 3 little dots. If you
Right. It says more. Yes.
Yes. Does it let you allow panelists to show video or something like that?
It says participants. It says live on Facebook, live on Workplace by Facebook, YouTube, pause recording, stop recording.
Okay, there's nothing else where it says allow video. I think you can.
Okay, wait a minute. Select internal speakers, same test speakers. No. Internal microphone. No, doesn't do it. Okay.
So on the panelists, if you click on the panelist view, you see their camera. Can you click on there and just click it?
Attendees, participants, wait a minute, panelists.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I can do. Hang on a second. Why can't I can't get to it more? Remove.
You don't see a camera icon?
There is a camera icon. I don't seem to be able to get to it.
Oh. Not good.
Rosa, maybe you have to do it?
I gave Jake the host capability, but can you?
So invite, can I do that? No, that doesn't do it.
Let's see, what happens here?
Here, hang on a second. Raise hand, mute, allow play. Gallery view, active. Allow play. Don't see it.
Jake,
yes.
If you click on mine, and just, can you give me back host?
I'm actually gonna hide my camera. So.
Make host. Got it.
Let me try. Okay, here. Okay, so I see it. Allow panelists to start video. It's those 3 little dots. I'll enable it here. I'm gonna make you
Okay. There's Drake.
co-host. And
17 to 23. Oh, it is actually.
okay, I've made you co-host, Jake. So Malia King, you can add her.
Okay, so I go to participants.
Mm-hmm. To attendees.
Oh, Mazel. Hello.
Hello.
Hang on, so let's go here. We go attendees, invite panelists, participants, panelists, attendees. Let's see. So we add this one.
I bought a new French settee that I have to refinish and reupholster.
Lazaro.
It's so cute. I'm going to do it in blue. Isn't it cute?
Lazaro.
Very excited.
I'm offended. I'm just as pretty as Gabrielle, and you're not seeing me.
Simon Tom Bocart.
So we can get my settee in there. Rosa, did you just add that print behind you? Because I don't remember seeing that.
Oh, I moved to another location. It's like a little corner nook in my dining room.
Oh,
yeah. Are you hoping to get on Room Raider?
A Room Raider?
Haven't you seen that on Twitter where they rate everyone's room that does an interview on the news?
Oh,
okay.
On Zoom, they rate the room they're in for decoration.
Okay, so we have Drake and Lazaro with BrightView. And Malia, can we, oh, okay. So Malia isn't doing video, that's fine. Ask to unmute. Okay, so Malia will, okay, so we have 1, 2, 3. Who are we missing? 1, 2.
Kevin.
Waiting for Kevin. Kevin, let me look at this. See whether I've got Kevin. See whether I don't have Kevin.
Rosa, were you hoping to escape this meeting tonight?
I'm actually going to escape. I'm letting Jake co-host.
Okay, so how do I put the agenda up there? Or
so
I know that some people don't like that because they feel they can't see everyone's face.
if the agenda's on?
Okay.
Yeah, when the agenda. Gabrielle?
Okay.
Oh, when the agenda, they feel like when the agenda takes over the screen, they can't
Oh, I
see
see.
people's face
Okay.
when they speak.
Okay, so Chris, you're
I can
I
do it.
am recording. That is
Oh,
recording.
Where's
Okay.
the chat?
And so Chris, you want to go ahead and I'll watch for participants. I'll watch for Kevin.
Where's my chat? Malia, I need, okay.
Oh,
Malia's on, she's letting, we know you're on, Malia.
all right.
Okay.
CNN keeps calling me for comments on the Commit National Convention.
Judy.
Okay, everyone, it is 6:03 p.m. on August 2020. Oh,
I'm gonna interrupt you, Chris. I can't find the chat. Am I missing it?
Let's go down here.
Jake would have to turn that on probably.
Speaker view.
I wanted to get it before Rosa left.
Right, yeah, really. Before Rosa leaves, participant mute. Here.
Let me look into it. I might have had.
So go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. on August 2020. And that's number one. We don't have minutes to approve, I think, so we'll skip over that.
Okay.
Just for the sake of people not seeing the agenda, it's a rather straightforward agenda. Again, public safety report followed by BrightView update. I have a quick update about the county and supervisor parks, and then we'll go into committee reports. Jake's common area manager report. And then after public comments, we have one, I think, property improvement application. So we'll start off then with our favorite topic, public safety, which is always kind of dull, which is good.
Well, that makes me feel pretty bad.
No offense, no offense.
Well, I'll try to spice it up. Maybe
Don't make up anything.
I'll do puppets or something. Yeah, kind of make it
I
exciting.
don't want excitement coming from you.
Yeah, it's probably better if we're a little bit dull, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, all right. Hey, well, good evening, everybody. Drake Massey, for those who don't know me, I think I know most everybody here or have talked to at some point or another. But so public safety report, I had a couple bullet points to go over. The COVID-19 update. So this week we started student move-in, which was good. So I don't know if Officer Kronberger covered some of the topics that I'll be talking about tonight last time, but anyway, so maybe some crossover. But the semester starts next week, and for the most part, it's going to be virtual. There will be some lab classes, so we will have a small amount of students on campus. To include some students living in student housing, about 250 students. And they started the move-in this week, and we'll go through till tomorrow, and should be all moved in and like I say, on campus a little bit, just 250. The Islands Cafe is going to be closed. They will be taking their meals at Freudian Sip, which is up there by the library, and that's where they'll they've got kind of a meal plan for them up there, as well as Mom Wong's and tortillas. They've got kind of what they call dolphin bucks. So you guys will probably start to see a few students in and around the town center and a little bit on campus, but not much. Like I say, those students will just be primarily those that are taking like lab classes, things that couldn't be done online. And then, like I say, just the small amount of students that will be living in student housing. So that's kind of a good thing for us. We're glad to see some students on campus. Strict social distancing in place. Obviously, you guys have seen the signs, the electric boards out on the entrances coming into campus. That was at President Beck's direction. And Lori Nichols will have some additional messaging. Jake, if she hasn't got with you already, I'll give you a heads up, you and DePaula, on some additional regulations for the campus. But I don't want to speak ahead of that. She'll get with you ahead of time, and we'll message you, Glenn, on what that's all about. So I prepped that, kind of pre-flight in that there will be. Any questions on students on campus or anything about that?
I have one just to clarify. The rule about wearing masks outside, I think, is if it's not possible to social distance, you should wear it. But if you are able to social distance, you don't have to wear it outside. Is that the correct understanding, on or off campus?
In terms of the mask,
Just the mask.
if you're, well, it's kind of, I mean, we've got county guidelines and then we've got our campus guidelines. So
Okay.
wearing, I mean, if we're in a building,
Sure.
we're wearing our mask, and we have to wear ours whether we're around people or not. So you'll see campus employees wearing them, and they'll be working by themselves. So that is, we've got a narrower guideline than, like I say, maybe the county does. But so that's how you'll see us. So you know, for civilian, or I say, so for folks outside the campus, pay attention to the county guidelines is what I would recommend, Chris, on that. So
Well, if I'm walking my dog on campus, should I wear a mask even though nobody's around? I mean, that's silly, kind of an obvious. I don't want to break a rule.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't, like I say, since not being a campus employee, that you're going to be good. I mean, you'll have
Oh, okay.
personal choice yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Now, there will be some, again, I'm pre-flighting some messages about some new restrictions coming. So just be prepped to kind of read those and understand those when they come down, Chris. And like I say, Lori will have those very, very soon. So, and again, like I say, the buildings now, I think part of last time one of the questions was, will some of the buildings be open to the public, like Broome Library, for example? And the answer to that is no. That's going to be part of the new restrictions. So all the buildings will be closed to the public, only open to faculty, staff, and students. So there was oh yes, Tom. I'm sorry.
Are you finished or?
On that topic, I was going to move to the next bullet point, unless you had a question.
Yeah, just a quick question. So if someone tests positive, one of the students, and there's a concern there may have been some exposure to the University Glen residents, is there contact tracing in place?
Absolutely.
You would let the community know that there's potential exposure?
Absolutely, and that's part of our protocols is to start the contact tracing, and as with the contact tracing is notification of those that person's been around. So to answer your question is yes, yeah.
Thank you.
There's protocols in place.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was asked to cover a little bit to talk a little about our building marshal plan that we have on campus. And Chris, that may have been an interest of yours. I think it was.
Well, I think Tom, did you send me an email about that? We just sort of an FYI.
Well, yeah, there was a tangent to it, but let Officer Massey kind of go through it quick.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting to hear.
yeah, so we do have a building marshal program, and that's part of our overall emergency management program. And all universities are required to have an emergency manager and emergency management protocols, or emergency operation plan, training and the like in the emergency operations center, a whole host of things that emergency manager. Maggie Tugas is our emergency manager. You guys have probably, many of you have met her. And a part of that is the building marshal program. And what that is each building on campus has a building marshal. So for example, if we have to do an evacuation, there's designated people that will help get they wear a vest, they have a radio, and they're trained to get folks out of those buildings and into a rally area, and then radio those messages into our radio once those buildings are evacuated, radio that information into us. So and like I say, Maggie Tugas is in charge of those folks, and they do a great job. And like I say, they have like quarterly training. But again, like I say, the responsibilities primarily is to be able to evacuate those buildings, help people with disabilities, get them out, and then get them to a rally point, and then provide that information to the emergency managers, so we can kind of understand who's in the buildings and who's not, or who may need help. So, but again, it's all part of our emergency management program. So,
Would that program cover the Kennedy Wilson Apartments?
It does not. We're obligated to the university, just as a university, but it doesn't extend to the apartments, or it doesn't extend to the UGLAN. So
okay, I understand. Okay, thank you.
All right, so that's what it looks like. Anybody that wants more information on that is on our website under public safety and emergency management, which is another heading under there, and you can kind of read on that, what that's all about. Okay, any questions on the building marshal plan? Seeing none, I'll move on to the next bullet point. Question was, what can CSU police enforce in the alleyways? So alleyways are just like roadways as defined in the vehicle code. So, you know, speed limit in an alleyway, for example, is 15 miles an hour, you know, and that's an alleyway here or an alleyway in the city or alleyway, across the board. So there's specific laws that relate to to alleyways, and these alleyways are basically defined in the vehicle code as such. So I didn't know if there were some specific questions about that, but our patrolmen, they do patrol the alleyways, and if there's enforceable things that need to be enforced, they can and will if need be. So I don't know if there was something specific on that or not. I know there was at last meeting, Officer Kronberger had mentioned, are other universities different in terms of, ordinances, city ordinances or county ordinances and things of that nature. I don't know if that was this was a crossover to that question or not, but
I'll take responsibility for this one.
yeah,
And
okay.
it's not necessarily, I guess we're just trying to understand, given the unique nature, jurisdictional nature of not being county, not being a campus, right? We're west of the campus, so we're not under the campus type rules. We're just this island of the state, and only state laws apply. So maybe what you can ask the chief, and what, not tonight necessarily, but what can you enforce and what you can't enforce? So for example, obviously a speed limit or a car parked on the alley, which
Right.
could block a fire truck type thing,
Sure.
that's definitely enforceable. But, like the common thing is kids riding bicycles on the alley, that's not a vehicle code violation. Or I think another issue that came up was some parents in the concern for safety, which is important, putting out these little plastic men that says, hey, kids playing,
Mm-hmm.
and they're sitting on the alley itself. Now, is that a problem or not? Should it be on the grass and not on the alley? Just kind of a clarification of what we can and can't do would be helpful, maybe.
Yeah, and if and for us, that's a good question. The little signs that get put out and stuff like that. That'd be one I'd have to specifically look up. Those are kind of, it may or may not be in the vehicle code. If it's in the vehicle code, it's enforceable. If it's not in the vehicle code, it is not. It'd just be one of those things that I would have to look up specifically. So if anybody has a question about a specific, behavior or something that's going on in the alleyways, feel free to email me. I'll get in the vehicle code. I've done this for Jake numerous times, and others as well, where he had a question about something. I'll dig in the books and see if it's in there. See if it's a penal code violation or vehicle code violation, and if it is, we can enforce it. If not, we can't. So, but if you guys have specific questions, please feel free to email me. I'll get that question answered for you.
So one follow-up, which is not really a question,
Mm-hmm.
my answer right now, but is there some part of the vehicle code that gives the police department discretion, like the gray area, something that infringes on public safety, not kind of the catch-all phrase, or is it very discreet?
Well, I can tell you, in terms of our enforcement philosophy across the campus and across UGLN is we choose, our first action wants to be educational. So for example, if we got let's just say someone complained about that sign with the kids playing thing. And we did find that was a violation. If we've got the call on it, the first thing we're going to go out there and do is find out who the sign belonged to and try to talk to folks and say, hey, listen, this is a violation. We don't want to issue a citation. We always want to have compliance first. You guys know we've said that numerous times, and we always try to get compliance first and then educate the public first. Then if we get follow-up calls, then that's where our discretion lies in. Yeah, we could come out every time on every complaint and just issue citations on things if it's a violation, but we use our discretion in that, and that we will respond. We do choose to educate, and then if folks go past that, then that's on them. We've at least tried.
Okay.
I have a question, and I don't know if you can answer this, but it's a process question.
Okay.
So the Rules Committee has been looking at various things, and it appears as though the campus president has the authority to make certain decisions about roadways and so forth. But it's not clear if her authority is limited to just the West Campus or if it covers the West and the East. Do you know how those kinds of process things work? Or
A little
if
bit,
not, who does?
Yeah, so, and I'll use this because one of the questions here is with regards to the horses, for example, coming
Right.
up and stuff like that, and or skateboarders for that matter. So, and you guys all know we've got a unique special circumstance up here. You know, we've got campus. You know, we're a state property stuck right in the middle of the county, and so certain things apply and don't apply. County ordinances don't apply here, for example. Loud music county ordinance doesn't apply here. But the vehicle code, under VC 21113A, which is, you see that on some of the signs around here, that does give us the authority to make some additional rules, if you will. So, for example, this horse situation, that's one where if we can take that to, it's not just President Beck, it's supposedly a board that you go to, you have to present, they have to, Gabrielle, I think you and I may have talked about this. Yeah, where you present and you go, we would like to make this some type of policy violation for the extended campus. And then that becomes enforceable under that 21113A. So then we actually have a vehicle code that we can associate with it for punitive. Does that, I don't know if that answers your question in
Well,
part.
so as an example, the horse issue. So
Yes.
you spoke about a board. Which is this, the site authority board or the CSU board of trustees? Which board are you?
I've taken on the horse thing. That's the part I got to find out. I'm in
Okay.
the process of learning that
Okay.
process myself. So
So you're working through that yourself.
I'll do is I can get back to you guys. And Jake, you may know. Do you happen to know? You've been around a long time.
No, I don't know who can make that determination. I'm not aware of how that works.
Well,
Yeah, as I started unfolding my research on the horses, I went through the books and yeah, it defines the board. I'm assuming it's a site authority connected, but I can't say for sure. I don't want to step into that
Okay.
yet. There is
when-
authority.
Yeah, when you sort that out, especially since you're going through the horse issue, could you let Gabrielle know kind of
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, because she and I talk. Yeah,
makes these
We're
changes?
cool.
yeah. And
We're
we'll
good.
learn this one together. This one's new to me. I'm fairly new to campus policing, so I was willing to take this horse issue on because I see it as a public safety issue, and I know a lot of
Right.
folks as well. And,
It was a little confusing because I've seen things, some documents that indicate the university president has the authority to close off streets, make them one way, change parking rules on, but
yes,
I'm not sure if that's just the campus side or if it's east and west. So
yeah.
So it's confusing.
I have a feeling that it's probably the same situation because I feel like it would apply, but I don't know. As I said, I don't want to overspeak until I.
Yeah, we don't need to belabor this much more. If you could, once you sort that out, if you could let us know, thank you.
Oh, by all means, I'd love to share that information with you, and it'll be like say be a learning process for me. But I'm willing to take that on. Like I say, it should have been shared last meeting that we'll have to do that with the horse situation as well.
See, otherwise we're going to let Gabrielle make all the decisions.
It's Gabrielle. It's French.
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle. Short A.
Okay.
As I understand, you have to make a presentation. You have to be able to show it. There's certain public safety issues, probably backed up with data. This is all the stuff that I'm starting to gather now, and
Yeah, we're gonna hitch onto that wagon.
hitch onto it. Okay, well that's fine. I'm all right with that. Okay.
Yeah. I have a question. Are we done with this topic?
Yeah. Unless anybody else had a question about the alleyways. So again, if anybody with a specific violation, please email, call me. I'll get that ask and answer, or you get your question answered for you. Good. Okay. Gabrielle, did you? I was going.
No. Do you have other things on your agenda?
I got two other quick little things.
Oh, well, then go for it because you might cover my question.
Okay. The other one was about the horses. As we stand right now, it's the horses can legally ride on the roadways and even on the DG path. I know as much as that worries some folks right now. I spoke with Jake, and I'm going to outreach to the ranch and let them know that we have some concerns up here, for some safety concerns. I can't tell them not to because they're not in violation of. yet until we get through this process. But I'm also going to let them know that we are going to be going through the process to, you know, to
Restrict them.
have some measures in place that disallow that. So anyway, so I will have an outreach with regards to the horse and the ranches over there. So hopefully we can get some cooperation up there. But
Regarding the horses, have we thought about putting in some kind of stop sign or flashing light at the bridge for them for crossing?
well, there's a whole process for that too. You just can't plug you just can't plug those things in you know, at your leisure. You know what I mean? So well, that would be a process as well that we'd have to go through as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
We could put a hitching post at the town center.
Yeah, look,
The only hitching post I know is a bar.
in my research, I have found a couple of times in my research, I had to, you know, as like I said, I'm collecting data for that right now. There's been times when the horses have got loose on campus during school, you know,
Yeah.
and you know they're trying to round up 2 or 3 horses at a time as they're, you know, running wild on the campus. I see that as a public safety issue. So,
Yeah, sure.
so anyway, it's to be continued, folks. But I'm working on it. I'm on it. Okay, last thing, I sent, you know, we are right in the middle of fire season right now, everybody. So I encourage everybody to, you know, just to share with your friends, sign up for that CI alert, sign up for VC alert. And I sent the evacuation plan to Jake. I didn't know what your intent was on sharing it with everybody, Jake, but for those that would like to revisit it, it is on our website. Again, I'll direct everybody to our website, our public safety. Well, you know, go to Channel Islands, CSU CI Channel Islands, and then search public safety and then emergency management. And it's right there. It's pretty easy. But I will say this: I just always want everybody to know that if for some reason we had to evacuate the campus, for everybody to please understand the first thing that I want to do is to get everybody back to campus, and we will use. Now it may take, you know, like we had here a couple of years ago. It may take a day or two, but. And I know people have medicines and pets and things of that nature, and we will coordinate escorts to get those necessities for folks, and we'll coordinate those escorts out at the A3 lot, and that's why we need everybody to be signed up for those you know, VC alert and CI alerts, because in part that may be some of the way we have to communicate with you to let you know that, hey, the staging area for you know, collecting personal necessities is going to be in the A3 lot from these times. We may have to do some escorts and stuff, but don't worry. We know people need to get back to get certain things, and as soon as it's immediately safe to allow escorts in, we're going to do that. So we will have not forgot about you guys. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but I want to at least put that's our plan. We have that as.
I just want to mention with the emergency evacuation plan, we'll attach our copy of it to the e-blast for September. And so that we bring it to people's attention, so that it is available. Where it'll be a link that you can go, you know, on our e-blast to the website and see where it is in the police department's website. And so I just want to keep that in front of everybody as we're heading into the warmer weather and fire season.
Officer Massey?
Yes.
So during the last evacuation, we had issues, none of which I believe were related to CSU, but kind of the roadways, the public roadways once you left the edge of campus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has that got sorted out?
Could you be a little more?
We had traffic backed up, people trying to, for example, get to the expressway, and traffic was backed up.
Lewis Road was all backed up.
Lewis
Yeah,
Road.
that was a unique situation, because if you guys recall, the last time we had to evacuate, 101 was closed. Remember, coming across 101, and 101 was closed, and that, you know, we couldn't get to campus because
I understand the circumstances, but has someone looked at that and come up with an alternative? If this happens again, are we going to experience the same thing again?
Well, if there's 3 routes off this campus. You know, now
it's a county issue. I mean, has the county figured out how to reroute all the residents from the campus area differently, so we don't experience that?
I can say we no. As we sit right now, no.
Okay.
You know, just to be point blank and direct, that has not.
Okay.
I wish that there could. But I do know the chaos that was ensuing there and trying to clear roadways and stuff at the time. So it was complicated. It's a complicated puzzle, Tom.
Yeah,
When that happens, yeah.
is that a county EOC responsibility to figure that out?
Yeah, and remember, it takes them a while to get their county emergency operations center up and running.
Yep,
So
yep. I've been there. Yep.
those decision makers are in that location to where they are assessing, highway, closures. Do we need to close the highways that where the traffic jams are at? It's just a fog of war there for, for sometimes a couple of hours. But in the meantime, we do feel like we're backed up here.
Okay.
It was chaos. It was, I will.
Right. So the point is, as far as you know, the county hasn't devised a workaround to the issue we had last time, as far as you know.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
they have not.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
I want to take just a second, and we want to appreciate Lazaro for waiting.
Absolutely.
Don't take much more than time. But one of the things that's new since that evacuation plan was drawn up 4 or 5 years ago is the whole power shutoffs by Edison, right? The PSPS. And if there's a wildfire somewhere to the north or east and the wind is blowing, and Edison, we're on the circuit, one of the circuits designated for being turned off. And if they do that, the campus has backup power, but my understanding is it would not extend into the residential area. All our streetlights would be out, all our houses would be out, and if it's in November, it could be dark. So we may be in a situation of trying to evacuate in pitch black, totally darkness. And maybe that's just unavoidable, but what I wanted to plant an idea with you, Drake, is, and this would cost money and would be a capital project for the campus, is maybe there's a way to have an emergency circuit connection between the campus backup system and our streetlights. So in that event, somebody could push a button and at least we'd have streetlights for a while,
Isn't that something you would take up with President Beck, though?
Yeah, and I'm trying to plant the idea with public safety related to evacuation, that some evacuations might be at night in total darkness. And is there a way to avoid that or have some other idea? And
absolutely.
so I don't want to get into it now. I just want to plant that idea. I think maybe the HAC will take that up a little bit later. Maybe we'll make a formal recommendation type thing.
I think that's a good idea. I never thought of that, Chris. Thank you.
And I don't know how many light circuits there are, or where you would plug in, and how much voltage would be needed. That I don't know, right? Somebody would have to figure all that out. And it would cost.
It was pretty crazy though last time, because I was one of the last out of here. So it was dark and it was windy and it was pretty crazy.
It was pretty scary, and especially if it's dark.
Yeah.
And you, campus police, you don't want to be driving around here in the dark trying to find the one house that has, like my house, an 87-year-old woman in it who can't evacuate, and it's totally dark. So hopefully there's something we can do down the road on that.
Good points, Chris. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Chris, if you want that issue to go to the CAG, bring it up later in this meeting.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna. And do you think that's? It seems like it's a good idea, worth looking into, and we'll take it from here to keep it going. Okay, I think we thank you very much.
Well, I have a couple questions, but not regarding that. I just want to ask if car theft has gone down, because that was a problem at the beginning of COVID, and if there's any other activity, normal police non-COVID activity going on in the basic standard report.
I can say, I sat in with the VCLEC meeting yesterday, as a matter of fact, which is the outside law enforcement agencies in Ventura County, and for whatever reason, car theft is up amongst some of the agencies, Oxnard in particular, and Ventura. Why they can't tag a reason to it, but their car thefts have gone up, but it hasn't been an issue for us here in the Glen.
So no unusual activity going on right now.
None to speak.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's actually been pretty good.
Yeah, that's good news. Okay. Well, we always appreciate your participation. You are excused if you wish.
All right.
And we'll move on to Lazaro. Lazaro's been very patient, and you got the floor there, Lazaro. You're mute. There you go. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
A little louder.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Cool. Just wanted to thank you for having me again. Very quick update on the landscape. I think the most relevant things are like we successfully have completed the approved irrigation repairs that you guys approved. So we completed that by the end of July. Right now, we are currently working on some mapping, just going deeper into the irrigation maps system, and that's more for us to really have a really good understanding of where each irrigation zone waters. And so, unfortunately, we don't have any maps from the when the university used to take care of it, or back in the day when Valley Crest used to take care of it. Unfortunately, those irrigation maps disappear, so we are kind of going over that again, and I'm happy to share that with Jake later so he can share with you guys. At this point, we know where each clock irrigates, but right now we are really going deep and mapping each clock, so we know this is zone 1, this is zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, 5, so that it's super easy. If we see like a hotspot or whatever, we need to turn off a zone or make a repair, we know that's station number 1 on controller 18, or you name it. And so that's kind of what the techs are doing right now. Also, we have the controllers up and running again on the Weathermatic system. This is what the university used to have before, but they stopped paying the service, so we had to pretty much separate those 29 clocks that irrigate the University Glen, isolate those clocks from the university campus, and we can view the clocks online. We are going through some huddles. We are troubleshooting some issues with Weathermatic.
Can I ask you a question real quick, Lazaro? When you say clock, is that the same as saying controller?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And so I think we're at the last troubleshooting phase. Couple issues that we're having. There's an application that we can use with our phones that allows us to go around the university, the community, like, and if I need to flip up to turn on a zone, I simply take out my phone and I go into the app and I can just turn on whatever controller, whatever clock I want to. And so, but we are seeing some of them, but not all of them. So we are trying to work those issues with Weathermatic right now. So we hope to have it resolved fairly quick. And the other thing that we want to do that is once we have that resolved, we have a plan to start verifying the completed repairs with Jake, or if there's a member that wants to be part of that as well, we can make that happen. But
yeah, I think what we're looking at is that the verification of some of this maybe seems to be pretty time consuming. And at the same time, we want to make sure that the work was done and that we develop a kind of an as-built of where these various arms of the irrigation clocks, where they feed. And part of that is to have kind of a inventory of the kind of heads that we have in the various locations. I know that the landscape committee for the HAC has concerns, and I would agree with them that the cars don't have the right heads on the sprinklers near the cars don't have the right heads on them. And so the reclaimed water gets all over cars and leaves minerals and all that. And so
But that was not part of the repair, is that correct, Jake? It
No, it is
was
not.
just to make
It
sure
is
the
not.
lines were working.
we would make
And
sure
that
that
was
the
not
lines are
included.
working, but not changing out the heads, you know, because right now the heads that are there are the ones that we've replaced. And we don't know how many of those there are because we didn't have an inventory of what we're looking at. And so that's the next step, acknowledging that, yes, that's a problem in the community and we need to address it.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. I'm a little distracted. Did you speak and did I miss on the fact that only 3/5 or relatively 2/3 of the controllers or clocks because of the licensing problems? Did you speak on the licensing problem?
No, what's happened is that all the licenses for all of the clocks are being put in place. There were about, wasn't it 6 that you said or so that were, there was something that was not communicating to the controller. And so there's some reprogramming that needs to be done. So, you know, of the 29, 6 are at the present time are not speaking. They're operational. You can manually control the controller, right?
Right. Sorry, my
That
wife
is a back issue from the old irrigation issues, correct?
my wife is going away.
Yes, Linda.
Oh, okay. So what we're offering is that we would like to check probably about 30% of them right now to verify that yes, the majority of the repairs are done, and then we're going to go back and do it in so it isn't, we do a little bit every week so that we kind of verify that yes, everything's working, and at the same time to make sure that the inventory and we have a good description of the entire system so that we know what we've got, which we should have had from the university from day one, which we never got. And so that's so that we have it all in one place. And should we care to in the future, don't take the offense to this, BrightView, and you know that if we would put it out to bid, that we would have documents that we could really say, yeah, this is the system, you know, which we at the present time don't have. So that's part of what this process is.
Can we ask you, hi, Lazaro, I'm on the landscape committee. Can we ask you about the mowing that's going on? And the
Sure.
Glen, I don't want to, I'm going to softball you and say it seems as though the equipment's too large, you're mowing too close, you're mowing too often. When there's nothing to mow, you're not allowing anything to grow, it's just dirt. Is there a way to rectify that schedule?
Yeah.
You know, so we're not over mowing.
Absolutely. I think that's I'll take responsibility for that. I mean, I think the guys, I've gone over this with my team multiple times. I mean, whenever we have issues with the water not getting to the grass or whatever, and plus if you have the heat as a factor, then I mean, I always tell the guys, do not mow those areas because the grass is already under stress. And so we just want to leave it alone until we figure out an issue. I gave them direction through the summer months, raise the deck height so that we allow the grass to grow a little higher. And so that the heat of the sun is not like burning the root zone for the grass. And so
It all seems to go back to irrigation. So
yes.
it
And
all
so
goes back.
I mean, part of the I mean, I'm sure I'll get an answer from Jake, but I mean, now that we have full control of the irrigation, Eric can manipulate the clocks to deliver more water. It's gonna become how much water can we apply, right? So I don't know if there's water restrictions. That was some of the things that I was talking to Jake about. Now that we have full control, now if I see that something is stressing out, burning out, can I put that on a separate, you know, like a separate program that it needs some extra watering, and then once it's corrected, and we can put it back in the normal.
Without us getting fined, because for using too
Yes.
much water.
This,
And so-
this conversation is fresh. And so we've been in contact with the university and Jason Hughes and Roxanne regarding the water allocation. And at the present time, there are no restrictions. The only restrictions that the university was suggesting is that we stick to the days that we are scheduled to water, because there's an allocation per 24-hour period. And so our watering days are Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And if we need more, possibly on Wednesday. But we can increase the amount of watering that we're doing. This is as of this afternoon, talking through Rosa to the facility services. And we have that in writing that's the schedule that we can move forward with. So we're getting some answers on how to move forward with the watering.
Perfect.
And we can discuss more of this in the committee report.
So can we adjust our irrigation for the weather,
Yes,
like during a hot spell?
yeah, we
Now
can
we
increase it, yes.
Yes, not that Jake gave me, and I'll make sure that this is 100% a yes. I can do like multiple run times on those days, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I can create programs where you are running those zones or just so that they run multiple times and we deliver more water.
And be cognizant that the reclaimed water bill will be higher.
Yeah.
And I was informed today there was an 8% increase in the reclaimed water as of July 1st.
8%?
Yeah, that's what Roxanne told me, sent this afternoon when we were having this conversation via email.
And what comes out of our hoses is not reclaimed. So is that higher?
Let's keep it to reclaimed. I don't know about the
Okay.
potable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's new information this afternoon.
Okay. Thank you.
And Lazaro, I'm sorry, were you finished or?
No, I was just gonna wrap it up with Gabrielle and tell her that I'll make sure that I go over. I'm actually meeting Jake tomorrow, so I'll make sure that we mow Mondays and Tuesdays. So
Yeah.
I'll make sure that I go over the mowing best practices for mowing with the guys, so that we're not stressing the turf more than we should. So I'll make sure that I speak to the guys about that.
Okay. I know it's really hit and miss, and it usually all comes down to irrigation. So it's going to be a process. So one step at a time.
So my question is, it's now we're in the hot season and so forth, and you have these issues with the irrigation system. What's the best guess on when it would be appropriate to start the refreshing landscaping? Looks like it's going to be maybe next year, just best guess.
I believe October.
Oh, okay.
October, November. Like if hopefully we're ready with all the verification of the completed repairs.
Okay.
By that time, like the weather it's cooling down. So I think that gives us, the idea that we have at least 2 to 3 months that it's cool. And it's actually good because you're not using as much water as you should. In the summer months, so it's beneficial.
Thank you.
I'm getting questions on my phone. That is the peril of giving out your cell phone number. So they want to know if you can adjust the blades because you're burning the grass on hot spots. So if you can adjust the blades for where you're mowing, and like you said, you're going to walk tomorrow with Jake, and we can talk more about that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Lazaro, very much.
Yep. Any other questions?
Let me just check my phone. I'm sorry, because the comment section on the Zoom seems to be off. So, okay, Mark, we're going to discuss that tomorrow. And everybody else is answered. Thank you.
Okay.
We'll talk tomorrow. Thanks.
Very good.
Thank you, Lazaro.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Lazaro.
I appreciate you waiting on so long.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item 6, I'll give a quick report. This is relative to county, which kind of has an added meaning after talking to the police department, the emergency operations at the county level is what determines what happens out off campus, you know, Lewis Road closures and things like that. So anyway, real short, I've been in discussions with county planning staff and the staff to Supervisor Parks. Supervisor Parks will propose on September 1 at the Board of Supervisors meeting that the county general plan add a policy specific to University Glen that basically says, hey, county, all you departments, don't forget there's people living over there, and whenever it's appropriate, you need to contact them and work with them on issues that relate to us residents. For example, ag, aircraft flyovers, perhaps, traffic on Lewis Road, water, you know, all these issues that are obvious to us. So that's good because it's not common for to have a last minute addition to these documents that are been in process for 4 or 5 years. And I'm told Supervisor Parks is more than happy to do it, is drafting the language, and it would undoubtedly get added on at their meeting of September 1. Related to that, I think just keeping it on the agenda is the idea of inviting Supervisor Parks or staff to come to one of our meetings or attend one of our Zoom meetings, probably either September or October. I could extend that invitation if the HAC is agreeable to that, and have them, this should be after they adopt the new general plan, and they can explain what that policy means and how in the real world it would really roll out. What does that mean in practical things? And then we can express our interests, our issues, helicopter flyovers or ag or whatever, and then they can take that back to the county and begin this dialogue back and forth on a regular basis. So that's good.
I support that. Is there any chance, Chris, we could give them some agenda items?
Sure, we can
speak to.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll work up something in the short run, send it around, and that would be in the letter. You know, like we kind of want to talk about the following things at a minimum, and then whatever you think we should also know, we'll put that in the letter and see if we can get them in the September meeting or October.
Terrific.
Okay, so that took a while, but we got there. Okay, moving up to committee reports, and the first one up for bat is landscape.
So I'm going to take that, and it'll be pretty brief because we've discussed the irrigation and the licensing issues, which was our big topic, and the mowing, which we will continue to. I know that's a big concern for everyone, and we are on it. It's a concern for us as well. We had a transition month last month with a new committee, given the elections and kind of the change up. So we are getting together with BrightView and with Jake. We're going to get together and get together an agenda, and then get a meeting with BrightView and go over all of this. We are in the middle of being involved in the tree removal / trimming. It's important to know that not all trees will be removed, and that there is very much a 50-50 camp on this, removal versus trimming. We have been assured that all owners who are affected in their exclusive use common area will be notified, and as much as possible worked with. There are trees that are diseased. There are trees that are just a nuisance and a problem with roots and roofs and rodents, and there are other trees that are diseased and are a danger. And then there's trees that just are too close together. So everyone knows our committee is a mixed bag of pro and con tree removal. So we have a good balance. But we are working with Jake, and he has been, pretty as transparent as he can be, given the COVID situation with what's going on. So more to come, and that is really our report on landscape, because we've already covered the other ones last. Are there any questions? Nothing came through on my phone. We're good to move on. Are you ready? No? Are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello, Chris?
Is it just me? Could you hear me, Jake?
Sorry,
heard
I
you.
had my
Oh,
mic
okay.
off.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the second committee, finance budget. Myself and Kevin and Tom as emeritus finance. So I don't have, unless Jake has it, you know, a monthly report. We're just starting our new fiscal year in July. Not sure we have a report yet from the July expenses, and the unaudited end of year numbers for the last fiscal year are not yet available, but we expect them within a couple weeks from Rosa, and then they'll be audited later. We'll see where we ended up from last year budget wise. The group, myself perhaps, is working with, thank you, Tom, for your contributions. And we had a BAG budget advisory group meeting on Tuesday of this week. One of the items was for myself working with Rosa to kind of just get in writing this list of all these things that we share, who owns what, how do we divide up bills, things like that, trying to put it all in writing somewhere. And let's see, the other item that came up at that meeting, and then I'll let Kevin, of course, fill in for things that I'm probably not remembering, but the site authority did agree to contribute $388,000 over the course of 3 years to the townhouse reserves. The goal of that is then after 3 years, the townhouse reserves would be at approximately 70%. The new or updated reserve studies, reserve level 3, were posted to the website in July, I think. They're dated June 30. They show the common area reserves at 84%, the single family 138%, and the townhouses at 57% funded. However, with the addition of the 388,000 over 3 years, the townhouse would presumably move towards 70%. And that doesn't solve all problems down the road, but that's progress. So I'll not go in. Kevin may want to talk more about that. Let me just see if I had one other note or two. Oh, we do want to try to move forward on a tot lot project, and some discussion on whether Kennedy Wilson pays for all of it, or and how we kind of share operating, but a replacement costs should come out of their pocket. So that's kind of something on the table, and
Well,
they're open to ideas on that.
If we're going to talk about the tot lot,
Oh,
let's be clear
Take
about the direction of this right now.
okay.
Okay, because what was brought up at the bag was the fact that yes, the Kennedy Wilson multifamily is the party that leases the land that the tot lot is on, and so they have come forward and agreed that they would spearhead the design and development of it, and that as far as the monies that would be available, there are monies in the common area reserves. It's about $110,000 this year. There's $75,000 for the play equipment and about $35,000 for the pad, the fall protection. And so with that, multifamily is moving forward to have a designer come out and make some move forward a bit with this. And in the conversation, and Kevin, you can jump into, is that the input from the townhouse and single family homeowners is going to come through the HAC to basically we came up with an idea of the way that if people, the single family and homeowners and HAC members would like to have communication with the owners of the apartments, that the 5 members of the HAC can come together and say, come to me and say, Jake, we would like to have a meeting, a Zoom meeting with them, and that we would facilitate that and include the site authority representatives, personnel in the conversation, just basically like we've got for the bag right now. And this could be for information, if Kevin wants to go ahead and do a poll or put some ideas as far as what is important to the community members in the tot lot, to put that together, and we can give that to the designers to approach that and include that. What we're seeing is that the back and forth among members of the community, being the apartments and the single family and townhouse owners, that this would be a way to facilitate kind of more in a formalized, casual way, communication, so that at the point that it is really ready to be communicated at a site authority board level, that then, in this case, multifamily would present it to the CAG with basically the knowledge of there would be no surprises, so to speak, for the people that would be the representative of the CAG who would bring it back to the HAC kind of for final approval. And so that's based on the last community advisory group meeting, when it was very clear that the site authority would prefer that the community advisory group is kind of a, how would I put it, more informal group. And, you know, that at that point, we were looking for an alternative of how do members in the community communicate back and forth. And likewise, if there would be something that the owners of Mission Hills would want to communicate directly, idea-wise, with the members of the community, they could call an executive session with the HAC members, the 5 HAC elected members, and say, okay, this is what we're thinking. You know, can you take it to the community or give us ideas? What's your thought? So it's a, how would you say, a straightforward way of communicating with representatives of both communities, or both, how would you say, building types within University Glen. So that being said, in regard to the tot lot, is that Ben Gordon with multifamily said he would move forward and do this. And the other thing that also this is for the entire community is that multifamily, because they have many residential communities, has resources and project managers and that kind of thing that can take this from conception all the way through completion. And so that kind of takes it off of CAM's plate, you know, that in this case, because they are the ones who are leasing the land, that is how it would proceed. So I wanted to communicate that was brought up at the bag and on Tuesday this week, as far as a way forward with the tot lot, which seems an expeditious way to get the job done. So anything else, Kevin? Is that how you understood it too? Or what didn't I say, or what did you hear that I didn't say?
He's smiling.
I think you laid it all out. Yeah, I mean, I think that the key with tot lot is going to be, we're going to try to do our best. You know, we did a poll almost a year ago where and we still have that data, but we're going to try to reach back out to the community. So everybody, I'm not sure how many people are on this call tonight, but everybody who's interested in the tot lot should look out for another poll here, so we can get some more data on the direction that we want to go. You know, overall, we're discussing potentially going away from large structure style tot lot and more of a landscaped tot lot. That's I think in line with play areas in, you know, for example, like the Santa Barbara Zoo. for any of those out there with kids that have been to the Santa Barbara Zoo, it's more of a landscaped area, and that'll allow us to maybe hit a wider breadth of kids, you know, as far as the age range, and maybe also make an area that's more inclusive for a whole family, including shade and water and some of those things. So anyways, that's a little bit of the idea, and we plan on reaching out and communicating to the community. So just keep an eye out for that. And then, I mean, as far as the rest of all the procedural stuff, I think you covered that, the roundabouts of approvals. The only other thing I had to say real quick, I know we passed it real fast, but Chris, you mentioned that the level 3 study was on the website. I jumped on the website here and I still see when I go to University Glenn's website, under owner resources at the bottom for townhouse.
Go to budget.
It's actually, I found the same thing. There's like on one site are the old ones and on another site, there's the new ones.
There are 2 sites.
Well, I can look them up for you.
Okay.
Okay, so you found the level 3.
Yeah, I found the level 3 probably
so
on a
where-
different page.
Where I normally go is I just click owner resources under current homeowners.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom, there's reserve study. And then there's the 3 levels, common area, single family townhomes. When I click townhomes, it loads the level 1 study. So level 3 isn't on that list.
Right. If you look under budget, if you go
Up
under
above, I see
resources under budget, their level 3s
Oh,
are all
okay.
under the budget.
So CAM 2020 level 3. Okay, maybe we should update the link down below because
That's
there's
great.
there's a title of reserve studies, and then there's the 3 down below. So we might as
Okay.
well
Okay, thank you.
update.
Thanks.
Okay.
Cool. Just wanted to clarify so that everybody makes sure they know where the data is online, where the info
Thanks,
is.
Kevin. Good point.
I think as far as the bag goes, there wasn't anything else major discussed. I mean, we did discuss reserves quite at length, and hopefully we'll be developing some good materials for the community to review regarding CAM fees in general. We're all very interested in that, and then we have lots of projects still to pick up from Tom. So that's it.
Yes. Tom has left his legacy. Thank you,
Yeah,
Tom.
Chris, on that note, there was one of the finance committee projects has kind of reached ahead, and I sent an email out the other day, but I'd like to remand back to the bag because I think there's sufficient information now to work with the site authority to justify the fixed maintenance fee that we've been charged since 2006. It seems pretty clear to me that we've paid far more than our share.
Yeah.
And so I'll pass that information back to you. And Jake, you're chairman of the bag. This is potentially a 6-figure issue, so I'll let it go back and let that group decide what to do.
Are you going to send us your calculations overall so we can look through them?
I think
I'm not even sure. I think a discussion needs to take place before calculations are put together. There's a bit of interpretation, but I think even conservatively, there's a significant disparity. So
I know I've seen the starts of a few of those different infrastructure and water overtime situations. So yeah, I mean, so you're just going to send us the questions to kind of the philosophical questions about who should be responsible for what.
Well, I've got contracts and documents and all that, and I think the burden should fall back on within the bag on the site authority to justify why back in 2006 they allocated that fixed maintenance fee the way they did, because it doesn't make sense. And it appears very clear we've been overburdened significantly. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, we'll dig into the details, not on everybody's time.
Okay. Thank you. Moving on to rules, Gabrielle. and
Yes.
Tom?
So Tom is vice chair, soon to be chair. Real quick, we'll start with the roll-off bins. We're looking at something very simple, like a simple application for 3 weeks. And you fill it out, you go to the CAM office, you fill it out, you have your roll-off bin, and if you need more time for construction, you fill out an extension, you prove that there is still construction going on, that it's not stagnant, and you get an extension. So that's pretty easy. The other thing we're looking at is kind of hitching our, I don't know what the expression is, but hitching onto the police, looking at navigating the system via the trustees to change the actual regulations that are enforceable by the police, not just the ground sublease. Such as quiet hours. If you live in a county or a city and you've ever had a party late at night, it's gone late at night, they come and tell you about the quiet hours. So right now, the police have no way of really enforcing that. If we can get, some of these rules changed on the trustee level, which Tom has done a tremendous amount of work researching, that would be fantastic. So that's moving forward. We have several new members, including Tom, who is vice chair, and Sandy. So things are really ramping up. I did want to, on a side note, before I talk about the garden, thank everyone for last year for letting me know personally what rules they really wanted to see defined. We have a handle on what those issues are. So going forward, since we're not enforcement, we're here to define the rules and not enforce the rules. Any further complaints should go to either to Paula or to Jay. So, and we've got a handle on what we're moving forward on. And last, kind of to keep it all short, since the meeting is running a little long, there has been growing interest in the garden, in the community garden. I'm sure related to COVID. Lori and Darcy and of late Carolyn and a few other people have really kept the garden going when there was a lack of interest or people were interested and they didn't, once they realized how much work it was or that it cost money to pursue, they kind of backed out. And that small group of women and a few men have kept it going. And they are aware that there's an interest to expand it. We are going to ask that Kevin and Chris look at increased funding to expand it. Of course, the majority of the money comes from the plot owners themselves, building the beds and the mesh and the caging and all of that. It would really just be the outer fencing that we would have to pay for. And they are eager to be included in the discussion on how to expand the garden and updating the rules to make sure that everybody has one plot and all of that. We really can't rotate plots. Yes, we do know that. Thank you. We really can't rotate plots because money goes into building a plot and to harvesting a plot. And so to pass that money on to someone else who didn't put that money and time and work and sweat into it. So really the answer is to expand the garden. There is plenty of room to expand the garden for people who are interested. But we are going to get together in the next week and go over how this is all kind of looks and moves forward and then present at the HAC. That's where we're at. We're working closely with the police, with Lieutenant Massey on the other issues as far as alley play and safety for the children and things like that. So that's where we're at.
For the garden, do
Yeah.
you envision then having like a open, are we gonna have an open meeting or try to create a new committee, or what's the?
Well, I'm going to get together with, right now, Carolyn, Lori, and Darcy are kind of holding the wait list, and they kind of hold the keys because they've been the ones who have been so loyal to it surviving this long.
Mhm.
So we're going to try to get together next week, and certainly we can include you and Maisha, and if you would like, and kind of see how they envision the expansion going and the updated rules, and hold a public meeting, and we can bring it all to the HAC, of course, for approval. And we, whether you want to, or and you being the universal you and not the Kevin Olson you, but how the community wants the garden to go forward. There does seem to be some serious interest. And to be sure, in the past, people were interested and then they would walk away within a
Yeah.
month, if even that. So
Well,
but
and I
there's
get, and I have some ideas for trying to make it more inclusive and accessible to everybody. So
Right.
and some of that includes, I mean, obviously there is a little bit of money in adding the fencing to expand the space, but then once we have that, maybe we can create a system where we can do some rotation because I don't know, I was thinking maybe we can get some community members together to help build out the space so that
Mhm.
there isn't such an investment into each plot for
That would
the
be
gardeners
nice.
themselves, right? So because I mean I understand you spend significant money building out your plot and time and energy, and then it's hard to either take it away because it's not attended to with, you know, or appears not attended in a month or two, or hard to just tell somebody that we need to rotate. So maybe
Right, and
if
then
we're able
when
to
plots
expand
go
it.
unattended for so long and somebody else takes it over, I mean, and by for so long, I don't mean 2 or 3 months, I mean years, where they take it over and then now somebody serious comes along and wants that plot, they've invested money in it, they want to harvest the crop, and you know, it's hard to tell who's serious and who's not. The best
Right.
answer is really expansion, and I think everyone is for that. Everyone wants a really kind of peaceful kumbaya gardening experience.
Yeah, and I have some ideas. I have some ideas. So just let me know when you're going to get together, and then.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
so to get to one of Kevin's questions though, so are we going to propose a new ad hoc committee called the Community Garden Committee, an official committee?
I would
With someone
like
in charge?
I would like to meet with the kind of the founding gardeners this next week and get some information and then bring it forward for recommendation first.
So Jake, you know, are you comfortable with another committee?
But let me also say that they have a plot assignment map. They are everybody in the emails, including the rules committee and the landscape, is for having a plot assignment map accessible at Jake's office, as well as a public waiting list that is accessible for view at Jake's office. So, but I would like to kind of have this first meeting, you know, and with Kevin and with Lori and with Darcy and with Carolyn and with all of the kind of historical loyal gardeners in the community, and get their suggestions and then bring them forward as far as forming a committee. I don't want to form a committee at this point. That's my suggestion.
All right. So that's to be determined.
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise,
is that acceptable for everyone else?
well, I think ultimately there needs to be some kind of leadership structure, whether it's a committee, one of our ad hoc committee structures, or it's Jake.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm a little hesitant to pile this onto Jake, because I think there's enough gardening lovers in the community to take this on without.
I mean, maybe once we have a meeting and if we can define the needs and see who really wants to do what as far as volunteers, then maybe we can figure out if it's a Jake held list and responsibilities, or if we do have an ad hoc HAC group. I think some of that's going to also depend on what kind of resources we want to apply to making a community space for everybody, you know. So
and certainly Jake can hold the documents, you know, but as far as his personal involvement on a day-to-day basis,
well, yeah. So
I mean, I'd like him to have a personal life.
Yeah, Jake, we should probably get your comment on this, but again, someone's got to be in charge. It's more than just having documents. Someone has to inspect and see if there's an abandoned plot and make that decision. I mean,
which is why I'd like to have the initial meeting next week and show the respect to the people who have tended the garden all along, and bring the recommendation to the HAC and to Jake.
I think we can see, I think it's good to have the meeting and see what people intend. You know, up to now, the only involvement that the CAM office has had is when people ask who's in charge, to send them the application and give them Lori McDonald's number. I mean, you know, or Carolyn Phillips, it's went through several people, you know, and some of that is something that in my mind you can put on the website, you know, and it's, and you know, if we want to keep up the map and put it on the website so people can see, you know, which plots are taken, which are not, and a reference of who to call, you know, and you know, whether that person, you know, it's a little bit like the person who's doing the social committee, is there's the garden committee, you know, that there's somebody, you know, doesn't have to have a report every time, but it's like, you know, every now and again gives an update. And particularly if there's going to be money there involved with it, you know, to have somebody accounting for it and keeping track of it. I don't see it as being something that the CAM office will be burdened with. You know,
I agree. I think we put out there that maybe like a quarterly or you know, every a quarterly update at the HAC as to what's going on. And I understand that Kevin's wife, Aisha, has priced out an expansion, and it's a one-time fee of about $5,000. So all in all, we're kind of looking at the dog park all over again. It's just a one-time thing. Do it, and then let the committee or the people involved deal with the rest. Excuse me while I turn on my light.
Let's try to wrap this up. One comment that I had on when you have your meeting, Gabrielle, I think before we would ever want to commit to spending $5,000, we want to have a pretty good list of people interested, you know, make it so we don't do it and then it's not used. We've got about 11 or 12 minutes to try to make our 7:30 target.
Chris?
Yes.
Chris, I need to make one more comment about the Rules Committee. So the Rules Committee, just so everyone knows, did meet. We had a one-off meeting with Kennedy Wilson, about a week or two ago, to go through kind of a framework about rules and regulations and our ground sublease, their lease agreements, state code, all that kind of stuff, who can enforce what. It was a good meeting. I think we reached a pretty common ground. We talked about some of the issues at hand, and Jake, it was nothing terribly exciting, but I think this is an example of maybe how the committees like this can keep you a little bit out of it and let you stay focused on other things until we start getting serious. So it was a good meeting, and it was Ben Gordon and Dave Paula and some other person.
It was me.
No, yeah.
And Jennifer.
Jennifer. Yeah, I know it was you.
It's some other person.
It was Jennifer. I'm not sure I've ever met her, but from Kennedy Wilson.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's move on to the CAG, which is Tom again, and then hopefully Jake, and we can try to get 7:30. Wouldn't it be great? So we're up to you, Tom, on the.
Oh, okay, sure. I'll try and make this real quick. So the last CAG meeting, there were 5 issues that I took to the CAG. For 4 of them, we reached some type of conclusion or decision. 1 was left open. I'll go quickly through the issues. So raised the issue about establishing a database for our property improvement applications. Gabriel's been appointed as our point person, so it's now turned over to her. So that matter, from my perspective, is closed from a CAG perspective.
Or Gabrielle. Gabrielle could do it too.
Gabrielle, I'm sorry. Chris's letter to the County Planning Commission was another topic. We're trying to get a commitment from them in that meeting, from the site authority, on their perspective. They didn't have one, but the matter's kind of, as you've already discussed, kind of worked its way through. We had asked to have input into the CAG charter. That is the one outstanding issue. I pinged Lori the other day and asked her if that, as far as I know, is still being drafted, whether we would be allowed to provide comments, and I have no feedback. So that's an open issue. We discussed the reserve accounting being moved to Jake and the Yardi system. That was a spirited discussion. I interjected my personal comment that the solution that I was hearing in the meeting to me was not acceptable. That was my personal opinion, but that the reserve accounting process is, I'm remanding it back to the bag. Kevin, you and Chris can sort out whether or not we're getting the kind of transparency we need to know how reserve funds are being spent. And I have my comments. So
Is any of that, I mean, is that any of that related to current year unaudited actuals that you've seen, or?
Well, there's a structure that's being discussed. Jake might be able to fill it in. And it's a hybrid in which reserve accounting is not going entirely into the RD system. There's some kind of spreadsheet hybrid thing where the site authority retains the accounting in the PeopleSoft system, and Jake gets some ad hoc stuff and spreadsheets. I probably don't need to get into it. I didn't like what I heard.
Okay.
My
Talk
personal
about it
opinion.
further
So
at the
you guys
bag.
can look at it in the
Okay.
bag and sort out if you're happy with the transparency I think we need. The next item was the tot lot. Just the structure of that project, and Jake has already gone through it. It's more of a CAG bag driven project now with Ben taking the lead. So that's been resolved. There were two other new issues Jake raised. I jumped into one of them. One had to do with the insurance programs we have. We're still waiting to have an insurance presentation. I had offered to put together a FAQ kind of list to help the presenter address questions that I think we're all asking. And I'll send that around and let the rest of you add to it. But that was one new item. And then the second new item Jake raised was a discussion about the Wells Fargo account that's been set up to hold our reserve funds. And
The insurance?
no, this is the reserve funds, segregated
Oh, I'm
reserve
sorry.
funds. And that's still in process. They're looking at,
No, right, but aren't they supposed to be in an insured account?
oh yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay,
Yes, I'm sorry.
it's okay.
And so that's it. And yeah, not much else to say. Chris?
Okay, thank you. And finally, I don't know if Kevin, you want to say anything about Maisha and the social?
I think Malia is
Yeah,
saying-
Malia can,
Okay.
I know.
Oh, Malia.
Hey,
Hi, Malia.
hey, I'm here. Hey, how are you guys? I'm trying to rest my still broken foot, so I'm sitting here on the couch. But so we have met officially for the first time as a committee about 2 weeks ago, and we're meeting again on Saturday. So we have started to plot out some plans for some annual events. The first of which would be a fall fair, and we're trying to figure out how to make that happen while social distancing. So it may include both a costume parade, a pet costume parade. We're talking about possibly shutting down the single family home area between of Anacapa Island so that we can distance more while still being social. And we're talking about possibly putting in some sort of pumpkin patch photo op area, as well as possibly doing some candy bag drop-offs if people are not comfortable having their children trick or treat due to social distancing. So those are our plans so far for the fall fair. We're also talking about, and this will probably be next summer actually, talking about possibly doing like an art walk within the community, because we do have a lot of artists here. So that could be really, really fun. We were even talking about various different clubs. So one of them would be like a gardener's club, whatever. So there's a lot of talk about different kind of clubs that we could establish. And then also we're looking to start a monthly newsletter, which would include a lot of things, which will really bring the community together, especially in our current COVID climate. So people would be able to submit their kids' birthdays, so we could have drive-by birthday parades. It would also include welcoming new families to the community, highlighting older families in the community. It would allow people to submit photography that they're proud of or projects that they've worked on. Also, especially we talked about having a gardener's corner. So people would be able to show what they're growing in their gardens and, you know, exactly kind of like almost like an extension of the gardeners club that we've talked about establishing. So allowing the gardeners to get together once a month and kind of show everything they've grown in the last month, right? So just making efforts to bringing the community together a little bit more. And that's pretty much all I have for right now. We're meeting again on Saturday, if I didn't already mention that. So I'll have more to come during our next meeting.
I love the idea of an old-fashioned kind of welcome wagon. I'm
Yeah.
one of maybe, well, actually 4 of us who can remember that. So
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah, so we talked about featuring new families, and then kind of like our thought is to, in an effort to bring the community together, feature one new family and one older family in the community each month until we've covered all the families. And then going forward after that, we would just cover the new families, but saying, you know, where they live, telling a little bit about their family, sharing a family photo, what their interests are, and, you know, just making sure that people know where they live and they can stop by and say hi. So I think, you know, I think that a lot of the efforts that we're working towards in terms of a community as a whole, we can reach those a lot quicker if we are more aligned as a community. So I'm excited to see how the newsletter can help us to accomplish those goals.
Absolutely. People are far more tolerant and patient of people they know than the stranger 3 blocks away.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So lots of great ideas, but it needs to be kind of culled down to something that you can put in front of this group and say, here's the plan, or, you know, so hopefully with all these ideas, you can distill them down into 5, 6, 7 events.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking a little bit more on Saturday about the events that we would like to plan over the next calendar year. So I'll probably have more for you. Once I have that, I'll circulate it to the HAC members for approval and or questions or concerns. And I'll also I'll be the one writing the newsletter because I've already written a newsletter for almost a decade with my previous employer. So I will probably do a draft of that in the near future and circulate it to all of you so that you can have a look at it.
And this is different from the e-blast. It's more.
Yeah, this would be community based. This would be all about. Yeah,
right.
It's not as informative. It's more social.
Yep.
Leah, don't forget the idea of a progressive wine tasting since we don't have to drive home.
Hey, I will. That'll be in the first newsletter. Actually.
I like you. Yeah.
Thanks. That sounds great. You know, one phrase that comes to mind in military people, I don't know if they still use it, hail and farewell. New families move in, old families leave. Every month you'd have an event for everybody coming and going. I remember
the welcome wagon coming around in the 60s.
Welcome wagon. That's great. Thanks for taking all that time and jumping.
I know.
It's great.
It'll be a good time.
For Jake's report, and after that.
Okay, not just a few things. As you may know, as of July 1st, Mike McConnell is with Facility Services. And so we're working to get some things that he was doing in line so that we have somebody to do everything. We are working on the windows. If you have window issues, just send us an email. We're working with Quality Windows to address those windows that need to be replaced, that we've been in contact with owners regarding windows that have oil canning, that kind of stuff, which we've talked about before. We're moving forward with those and have a system by which the site authority personnel approve the proposals before we order the replacement, so that we can facilitate the payment and be through the reserves that right now that the CAM office would make the payment, and then it would be reconciled quarterly with the reserves through ROSA. And that's one piece. The other thing is we're working on getting a handy person in line to do some of the repairs, like some of the gates that we've had wood gates with the townhomes. It's mostly townhome related, and so that's moving forward as well. We sent out an e-blast earlier this week that we have Precision Concrete Cutting is doing a survey of the trip hazards in the community, and they anticipate finishing that up in the next day or so. May take longer than that. There's quite a bit that they're addressing, and then we will put that out to bid and come back and address that in this fiscal year. Two other things that have come up is that it's come to our attention, if any of you have been over to the town center marketplace, that as of August 13th, it was closed permanently. And in talking with the site authority personnel, they are looking at alternatives to provide kind of the I would call it Quick Trip or 7-Eleven kind of service, which would probably be significantly scaled down, but they're looking at what that would mean. They also pointed out that the Pizza 314 is going to be closed for the fall semester. And so those were closures due to COVID and limited students on campus that have impacted all of us. So wanted everyone to be aware of that. That kind of completes what I have to offer tonight.
Jake, so the town market might reopen under a new owner,
I have no idea.
management? Don't know.
I have no idea. My sense of it is that as it is presently configured, it was non-profitable. It was not profitable, and that it's not been profitable for a long time, if ever. And so I think at the point that COVID came along, you know, it was untenable. And so my understanding is that they still have the lease on the space, but as of my last conversation with the site authority, with Lori Nichols and Rosa, it's indefinite as far as what it might be.
A couple more questions.
Sure.
At one point, you talked about working on an electrician RFP. Is that still in the works?
We can get to it. Yeah, we can. It's like there are a lot of things that are kind of came in after the July 1st that we're getting squared away, and we'll get it. Yeah.
Okay.
On a quick note on the community center, I just wanted to say we should all remember to try to support the few privately held businesses that are still in there and open for us and available, even with their own limited hours they have. There are still 2 at least options over there, and I find them both to be pretty good. So anybody listening, let's all try to support our community businesses.
I recommend the breakfast burrito. So.
Yeah, I learned I guess maybe last month or so that there's some off menu items over there at Tortillas. You can get a California burrito. It's pretty good. There's a few off menu items. Everybody should go and ask them about the off menu items.
It's kind of like animal fries at In-N-Out, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
One other question, Jake. The water tank. The pathway along Channel Islands Drive. So I'd heard a rumor that as part of all the stuff that happened, that there was there was an issue with one of the water tanks and the inside of the tank. Some of the work that had previously been done needed to be reworked. Do you know anything about what's going on there?
We've been through that. That happened in July. That happened last month.
So the tank is finished.
But my understanding is that they have done the repairs to the tank, okay. And as they were emptying the tank, that's why we got the gully along the
Didn't realize.
path. Yeah.
Are there
Don't
plans
ask me
to
when
repair
they're coming back and doing they took the tarp off. I don't know when every time I've asked, they say they're working on it as far as
the DG path are there plans to fix the DG path?
The over by the DG path, there's talk about putting a curb in at the side of the DG path, on the hillside of the DG path, so that if it does get inundated again, there's something to divert the water before it gets to the DG path. Time frame, don't have a time frame. That's a facility services, how would you say, it was their issue that it was happened that way. It was during their activity, and so they're working to make it right.
So has that become a campus issue? They have to bid out, have architect drawings and bid it out and all that stuff in order
I don't
to
know.
put a curb in?
I don't know.
I mean, if that's what they're trying to put a concrete curb in, and it's going to be a university build, then that's pretty much how it goes, which means it's going to be expensive and a long ways away just to put a curb in. Be nice if they could just fix that path.
I can bring that to the site authority personnel, certainly can.
Throw some DG down and compact it so that it's usable, and then the long-term fix can be long-term. That would be my suggestion.
We can do that. We can do that. Sure.
Because right now, I mean, it's a common used area. We go walk down that, we jog down that, and it puts everybody in the street. We're running in the street.
Good point.
Thanks.
Well taken. Thank you.
Okay, are we ready to, do we have any
Oh,
comments or anything from anybody watching the show?
I got some window noise going on.
Or we can go to, if we're ready to adjourn, we can go to the one, we only have one property improvement, right, Jake?
That's how you solve that problem.
Correct. So I don't know how I do that.
Are we off?
So we have 10 attendees with us.
Yes, and you just click them off.
But were they able to, so they couldn't use the chat tonight?
There
Not
was no
tonight, no.
chat, and they couldn't raise their hands. I could allow them to talk if they called me if they texted me on my cell phone. I only got 3, and I just relayed their question or concern.
It looks like some people are dropping off.
They are, and
dropping
you
them
know
off.
what? I wish I had I hope they're dropping off. Well, I wish I had had a screenshot.
I took one.
Look,
Oh, thank you. Because I normally save the chat, but I didn't.
Looks like the usual suspects. So we can adjourn. I think we're safe to adjourn the meeting.
There's 4 more. We're
Just
still
hang
waiting
on.
for 4 to go.
Just hang on a second.
Okay.
Working on it. Okay.
Bye, Ron. Good to see ya. Nope, Ron's saying I'm staying busy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
All right,
Okay.
meeting adjourned at 7:38. Not bad. Now we can move to our one
Okay.
PIA.
Okay. So I forwarded you the PIA. This is from Mary Walzer at what's the number? It's
242 something.
342 Santa Cruz Island Drive. And what she's wanting to do is put in a gazebo kind of thing that is a piece of furniture that it would go away at the point that she moves. So it's basically a piece of furniture. She was wanting to make sure that it was not a surprise to people that it's freestanding,
That
has
it's already
some
up.
fabric on it. I don't know the color of the fabric.
It
But
matches, it's almost identical to the one 2 stories down, two houses down.
yeah, okay. And so that's what she's offering. I think it looks fine.
Okay, first of all, it's already up. And second, there's no need for a PIA. It's freestanding, it's on the patio, it's patio related.
patio furniture allowed on the
Yeah.
patio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it.
The
But
other thing that is
almost
true-
identical to the one down the right.
Right. The thing that is true is that if it is visible from the common area, it needs to be asked about. Okay.
I thought if it was patio related, it did not.
Well,
Everything's visible from the common area.
Yeah, because I mean that could be applicable to my patio table and my umbrella out front. Like that's
well,
I thought
I've
if
been
it was
meaning to
on the
talk to you about
patio
that,
and it was
Amelia.
patio related.
stop it. You better not take my patio umbrella away, Jake.
I'm not so sure about your inflatable unicorn, but
I took the unicorn down, okay? It's a good thing that there's not other people on this call.
so I think what Mary Walter was doing was making sure she was
Yeah.
informing everybody what she was doing.
Let me
it's
ask one technical question. The gazebo, is it going to block a door? Are there patio doors? Is it set up so it won't block the patio
No,
doors?
they can still get out their patio.
Yeah, they
I'm
can
sure they're
still
trying
get
to walk
out.
out
It's
the
taller
door.
than the door. They'll be able to get out, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No fire hazard issue.
No patio.
No,
Move to approve. I do.
Yeah.
okay.
Approved.
So
Approved.
okay.
Hey, I have a quick
Okay.
question. So are we doing, since we're virtual now and we're all pretty able to communicate via email online, are we doing PIAs kind of as they come in?
Yeah.
Um,
I see. We hadn't been, I think from my experience, it's good that the whole group look at them together, in the sense that if there is some question that, that everybody kind of hears the discussion on it.
and
It's
PIA
nice to
should be,
get them a little early though, so if I can think, sometimes I need a minute to think of an
yeah,
issue.
okay. Yeah,
I'm thinking about adding air conditioning to my unit here, which I guess requires a PIA, right? I mean, it's a
It
good.
But it
doesn't
doesn't go
really,
through-
it does, it requires a I'm sorry, am I taking your spot?
You can go ahead, Gabrielle.
It requires a permit, it
it's-
does require a PIA, but
Okay.
it's pre-approved.
The situation is that it
I want
requires
cold
a
air
building
tomorrow.
permit. It requires a building permit from the university,
Yeah,
which includes the drawings and the specifications. And then also has a permit fee with it, which is a different animal than the PIA. We need to have the PIA. The reason is because at the bottom of the PIA form is where it's approved by the site authority personnel as a capital improvement. That's the reason we need
so
to.
actually regarding capital improvements, there's a quick question. Originally, it was my understanding that PIAs added value to your unit in a kind of direct corresponding way to
It
the
depends
value.
on whether it's listed in Exhibit B of the ground sublease. There's a list of those things that, if done, both interior and exterior,
Increase
if
the
they're
value of your
done, which
home.
includes solar panels and AC.
The pre-approved,
It's
the pre-approved stuff.
Right, but
So
those are things that with the property improvement application, then it goes to the site authority personnel to verify that it can become a part, it is considered a capital improvement and can be added, prorated, whatever, to the sale value of your property.
Okay, because I had a community member recently. I guess she felt the communication said that anything on that list of pre-approved documents wouldn't directly add to the value of her house. Rather, it was up to the appraisal to decide if it actually added to the value of her house.
No.
So
No,
if
they
she
decide what the depreciation is.
Yeah, it's
Other-
both. So you might add it 5 years ago. It's not worth what you added now.
Right, exactly. But if it's on the list, it's an improvement and.
well, there's a depreciation. I mean, you don't depreciate the value of your house; it increases. So if you
But you
remodel your
depreciate the
kitchen, you don't
value of
depreciate
carpet
from
and
that.
I mean, as opposed to wood flooring or waterproof laminate, and then there's carpet.
lattice
I
with.
mean,
Yeah, Kevin, I think that list of items, I mean, that's what qualifies as a potential capital improvement that could go into the sale value of your home. You
It
may or
adds
may
to the
not get it. The appraiser will be the person who decides whether or not your addition was,
Worth any value.
well,
Right.
no, that's not correct. They'll decide.
That was kind of what was communicated to this person. That was communicated to my neighbor.
You'll get the appreciation.
PIA establishes the original value subject to the future appraisal on
Correct.
the condition of that improvement, which
Correct.
sets the maximum price for your house. You may not get the maximum price. There's no
But you'll
guarantee.
get something. They
Probably
can't
will.
Well,
discount it 100%.
I don't think there's been a house in the neighborhood that sold below the maximum of previous value.
Probably get your maximum, yeah.
So the
Probably, but
question,
get a
it's just-
second appraisal then.
so part of this is just about, maybe we need to and I think this was on the list at one point about the appraisal process and exactly what goes into that, because
That's a good
there's a
question.
wide variation in the appraisals of certain units. I've seen the same units vary greatly, and so what
Well-
literally went into that appraisal? Because I'm adding
understand-
things to my house, and I'm wondering if that added $500 or $2,000, and I don't know.
You won't know until you sell.
Okay,
And it depends on
That's
who
not-
your
that's not
appraiser
fair
is
to
and,
us.
and what your standing in the community is.
When
And
I
that is the God's
because
honest
my
truth.
understanding when I bought in the community is that this isn't a fair market community. Therefore, anything that I did to the house was not necessarily a fair market value improvement.
No,
And
no.
so
no,
what I'm hearing now is some type of mixed message about fair market value improvement, but not fair market value house.
Yeah, there's a cap on what you can sell your home for.
Yeah, but
No,
how is that
no,
established?
there's a cap on what they, no, there's not. There's a cap. If I put $100,000 worth of improvement into my home tomorrow and sell the next month, there's a cap on what my house can increase at, according to the CPI. But the capital improvements, I can put $300,000 into it, and they
But
can approve it.
that won't be added to the cap
it
of your
may or
house.
may not be.
It
it
may
may
or may not be, but
Right.
it could be.
May or may not is
Yeah, Kevin, like,
nothing.
don't put in $200,000 worth of Italian marble in your front entranceway, right?
Unless you
You'll never
really
get
want it, then go for it, because life should be joyful.
There
But
you
you know
go.
what I mean? Like may or may not means that there's going to be a fair market value assessment of the value of your house,
No,
and
it
yet
isn't.
there's not going to be a fair market value of the assessment of your house.
no.
So
no.
all they're going
I
to do is look at.
I think what we need to do is to have Rosa explain, saying this is how it is, this is how the value is determined, and the property improvement application, part of what it does is show the date that you put it in. So
Mhm.
so it's verifying that you put it in because you owned it during the time that the improvement was in. Because people who
Yeah.
put in the AC unit, if you buy it with an AC unit, you can't, then it would be a maintenance item if you would replace it.
Exactly.
Well,
That's
right.
a
But if
fabulous
you put,
point. It's no longer an improvement, it's a maintenance.
$4,500 into the improvement, that then they add that on to what your increase in the value would be from when you purchased it.
Yeah, that's a fantastic example.
Well, but so wait. So just to be clear, I don't have an AC unit. So if I put $5,000 into air conditioning in the house, my value will go up exactly $5,000, or it will be.
Well, whatever it
It
is.
will if you sell within the next month or two,
Well,
but over time, the condenser devalues, because at some point that condenser will need to be
Go,
replaced.
They're
Tom,
not-
go.
They're not depreciating
no,
the value. of
Kevin,
the
if you
condenser.
put in a $20,000 air conditioning system, and that's possible, an appraiser will probably tell you when they appraise your home, you're not going to get $20,000 in appraised value improvement to the house.
Right.
They have, because I had an appraiser come out and do my home, and she had a model where she had a basic house, and then it says air conditioning, boom, adds $500. Had nothing to do with my costs.
Right, but if you don't pay
But was that-
$5,000 and you get somebody to write you a receipt for $5,000, then you could potentially make money on the deal.
Well,
Until it's the right
We
time.
need an
Was-
explanation.
Tom,
I
see
think we
why
need to
I'm
have
saying this is
Rosa
not
explain it.
clearly defined. So Tom, wait, you're saying
Kevin's
you
clearly
had an
defined here,
appraiser
Kevin.
done of like a university appraisal where they
it was
where
one
they
of,
said
it
you
was
bought
one
it
of the
for
approved
X.
appraisers.
What's that?
It was one of the approved appraisers, because I went through this process that you're going through. What it comes down to, it's very subjective. They take all the improvements you've done. You can show them the costs. That's helpful to them, but you don't necessarily get your costs back. And the appraisal may not even be driven on cost. Again, she had a model and said air conditioning adds this much value. You could have a crappy system. You could have a great system. and she may not recognize the difference. She's not an air conditioning expert.
And then you have people
But
like
that-
Mark Hewitt who bought his home with these horrible, cheesy built shelves. And he bought it, but he still ended up paying a couple $1,000s extra as an improvement, even though they were tearing them out. And other people get their homes appraised, and they're like, oh, we can't even consider that because it's not on the list. So it is iffy at best, but it's part of the charm of living here.
Yeah, well, I think maybe that's something
I've added that for
one
the
of us
September
needs to,
agenda.
Okay,
yeah.
so we're good?
I'm sorry. This is the moment I've stopped caring.
Now that we've established that we know nothing about how our houses are valued, let's look into that.
I know what mine is because I just had it refied, but other than that, I don't know.
You
But
did?
when I refi, a real appraiser from the outside world comes in and they look at the comps and then they say, this is what the value is. And that has nothing to do with what the university will let me sell the house for.
Right. I know somebody who just got a refi
Okay,
based on.
Okay. So we're
let me
good?
ask one question because I want to sign this PIA, and that is one of the conditions is I just want to clarify the way it's written is that it sounds like the pergola remains with the house later. It's not being removed upon sale. The furniture is, but not the pergola.
The pergola is the furniture.
Furniture, it is furniture.
Okay, so I'm just reading from the says pergola sunshade to be placed within front patio area. Patio furniture will be removed by owner upon sale of unit. Are those two different things, or is that all the same thing?
I would say that the pergola is considered a
Come on down,
piece of
Maria.
patio furniture because it is not nailed down.
Not permanently attached. Yeah, I would too. I just want to.
I would say you can just add that we
Okay.
understand that at the time of sale, the pergola will be removed.
Yeah, it's not being attached to the patio, is it?
Huh? No, it
Are
is
they
not.
bolting it to the concrete? Okay,
No.
it's furniture.
Okay, I'll drop this off at your office tomorrow.
Okay,
Jake.
very good. Thank you.
Can we finally adjourn?
On the
Yes.
last page, it says, will be removed if we owners ever sell the vacant,
Okay.
the residence.
Okay.
Verified. Thank
On
you.
page, sorry, it's not the last page. It is, I don't know,
Second page.
page 4, actually. The one with the drawing and it has like a little arrow.
Got it. Okay.
Okay,
Still
everybody.
having fun.
Thank you.
Turn it
Still
off.
having fun.
Time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
I had a
okay.
good time.
All right, see you guys. Thank you.
Let me
Bye.
call
Bye.
Rosa.
What?
Okay, I'm gonna call Rosa here. How do I save this?
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Are we recording? So we stop recording.